And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to the Dice Tower. Today we're taking a look at a game called Zoo Break. In this game, there's been a computer malfunction, and animals are escaping from the zoo. It's up to you, the players, the zookeepers, to get those animals back in their cages and to then shut all the doors and keep the animals from escaping again. It's a cooperative game in which you're working together, definitely geared towards families with the way it looks and feels, but here is how it plays. Each player is going to take a zookeeper of their color and a board. This board is going to be where you keep your supplies, and it also gives you a special ability that you will have over the course of the game. So you're going to be the track star, the gardener, the black belt, the lucky duck, or the angler. So on a player's turn, the first thing they will do is they're going to roll this die. This shows how many actions they get, which is going to be between 5 and 10. You're then going to use these actions. So you can move. Each space that you move through is an action. The gardener can move through hedges. Nobody else can. And the track star, each time he does a move action, he can move 2 spaces for each spot that he moves into. If you go to the supply area, you can spend actions to draw these cards. These cards are going to give you keys that you're going to use to lock the cages. You're also going to get different equipment that you'll use to capture. Like this net can be used to capture the meerkats or the monkeys. A snake tongues is used to capture the snakes. A leash to capture pandas and elephants. There's the key to close the monkey cage, and so on and so forth. So you're going to find these items and then go out and proceed to capture them. If you land in the same space as an animal, you can capture that animal depending on if you have the proper equipment and have enough actions left to do so. That animal is instantly removed to its cage. If all the animals are in a cage or out of the zoo, but there's none running around the zoo, and you have the key for that particular cage, then you can spend the 3 actions and that cage is locked and you don't have to worry about those animals anymore. If you end your turn on a dangerous animal, which is the tigers, the elephants, the rhino, or a dangerous snake, then you get sent to the infirmary where you'll skip your next turn. But that's only if you end your turn there, or if you reveal a snake and it's a deadly snake. Whenever you move into a snake token, you'll flip it over and there's no snakes. Or maybe a garden snake, but here we have the rattlesnake and a coral snake, and those will hurt you. Garter snakes will not. These will send you to the infirmary, although there is one character, the black belt, who can't be injured by animals, and there's also snake venom that you can get, which can make you immune to that. So after your turn, after you've done using your actions, you'll turn over an escape card, and it will tell you here a panda and 2 snakes escape. So this panda escapes, but this spot's already occupied, so it jumps to the next one, and 2 snakes escape, so 2 would skip that snake and go out here. Now, animals are always going to move down if they're possible, and then inwards, going for the gate. After you draw an escape card, you'll draw a move card. All loose animals move 1 space. So all the animals, you start with 1 animal loose of each type, they will all move 1 space. And so players are going to be trying to stop them, because if one of the dangerous animals, tiger, elephant, or a poisonous snake gets out, you lose. Or if 5 of the harmless animals get out, you lose. The rhino itself will never run out of the zoo. Instead, there's a special movement card that when it comes up, the rhino is simply just going to rampage across and run in this direction across the zoo and then come back, and if it hits anybody, they're going to take damage. And apparently the rhino moving card is in the escape. So we'll look here. These show you the different kinds of escape cards. Sometimes there's a no escapes, which is good. The rhino will just charge. And if he hits anybody, then they go to the infirmary, and then he'll charge back. The rhino doesn't try to escape. Players, meanwhile, are trying to get equipment and run around. They can go from one train station to another train station to save time. They can stop at the snack bar and get a token, which they can save and use on a future turn to give them extra actions. And meanwhile, you're just going to keep sending these guys back again and again and again until you finally get the key and lock the cage. Meanwhile, drawing more and more escape cards, and then all different movement cards. Movement cards are usually just moving some animals, but a panda might come and hug somebody. There's a barricade that could be broken. You could put a barricade to stop animals from going a certain spot. Here, one keeper can go to another. It's not always negative stuff on the board, but a lot of it is negative. And that's it. You get keys on all the cages, you win. A dangerous animal or 5 harmless animals escape, you lose. The board itself is okay looking, but it's the animals themselves with the painted on spots. Now I will say I'm noticing that this paint is starting to chip off. You can see a little bit of it coming off here. And that's after, just a few games, but other than that, I really like how they look. I like how they have these cute little feeling to them. They're very easy to tell apart. The people who walk by really like this, and even though it might not be considered great artwork, it's really obvious what each of the cards does because it shows the figure of the things. It has this like cutesy feel. The card quality, by the way, very well done, and even though the board is a bit Spartan, it is really easy to tell where anything is at any given point in time. The boards in the rule book are very clearly defined. I really like the rule book, very easy to understand and how to play the game. Didn't have any questions, and the die is a decent quality die. Overall, I was really happy with the components. There is a lot that I like about this game. It's very simple, it's very easy to get into, and while it has a kiddish flair to it, like the animals are escaping, stop the animals, there's some good decision making to be made in this game. I will start off with a negative, some minor negatives, I guess. First of all, the action die. Now, I have complained in the past that I hate action dice with all my heart. You roll a die, that's how many actions you get. I hate that. But that is in a competitive game where I might get 1 action and you get 6. Not fun at all. This game fixes that by 2 things. 1, the actions are 5 to 10, but 2, it's a cooperative game. So if you roll a 5 on your turn, we all get only 5 actions in a sense. We're not like going, ha ha ha, you roll low. It's like, oh man. And one of the characters does have a special ability where they can re-roll the action dice. And that's kind of a neat thing that works pretty well. And so it evens out over the course of the game, and while the action die, I don't know that it's a strong mechanism, adds a little bit of a, ooh, what do we do next type of thing. The other negative I have is that you need the supplies. You absolutely won't run around the zoo without a net or a trank gun or whatever you need. So if you're going to if you're going to do that, you have to go to the supply center. So on the first turn, every single player goes to the supply. I almost wish they just gave everyone 2 cards to start with randomly so that you could then kind of have some options of what to do in the first turn. On your first turn, you go to the supplies. So I just felt that was kind of very, very scripted. Other than that, once the game gets going, you're running around. Which animals do you lock in their cage first? You got to get them back. Tigers are a pain because you can't go into a space with a tiger. You got to get a trank, darts, shoot the tiger. You lay the tiger on its side, then go in there with a stretcher, get it back to it. But there's a card that wakes tigers back up, so you got to be wary that that card might show up. Once you get a cage shut in this game, the game gets slightly easier because those animals no longer escape. And the game gets easier and easier as you shut each of these gates. So it kind of has this bell curve because it starts off, okay, not too many. Oh, more animals are escaping, more animals. We got a couple gates closed, we got a couple gates closed. Okay, we're down to 1 gate, we got it. And that's really where the game is. Once you're down to 1 gate, you could probably just all high five and go home because it's not that hard to finally shut down that last gate. But because of that, I think this works so well with families. There are games like Pandemic, which this almost feels like an animal version of Pandemic, that have all these things happening, but this kind of keeps it on a nice focus. The animals are running out of the zoo. There's some nice little back and forth of the events. The pieces look really great. I just think this is a fantastic game for kids to play with their parents. But I played this with other adults, and it works in that situation too. It looks kiddish, but it's actually a pretty solid cooperative game. The special abilities are nice. It's fun to be the guy who doesn't get hurt by animals. It's fun to be the person who can run extra spaces when they move. And so the whole thing, and you're talking back and forth, and there's luck, obviously, with which animals are escaping and moving at any given point. But the whole thing just flows together in a really nice package. I was very happy with this one. That's Zoo Break. Dice Tower Judgment approved.